Hey guys.
Hey.
It's Penny and Tasha again for Penny's 2 Cents. And we're here today to talk to you about the workplace, but we're going to focus on
Employers this time.
Right, employers preparing for the interview. Because we talked about employees preparing for the interview, but I can tell you from experience, employers do not prepare historically.
As an average, yeah, they don't.
Do not prepare unless they're a large company and they have a department that does this. But typically, employers are just, I don't know, Tasha, desperate, usually, desperate to get good people like you, hopefully. And so what we put together today, specifically what we want to talk about, are the things that employers struggle with when they're getting ready for an interview.
Yes.
Or more importantly, I guess we're going to talk about first the challenges that employers have been facing, because unemployment is historically very, very low right now.
Right. Well, they say it's very low.
Right,
but we
right.
know a lot of people not working, so it's the retention.
That's it. The retention
is not good.
is really, really tough. You know, people are not staying at the jobs, they're jumping. I mean, people are jumping all the time. But what we wanted to talk about specifically to the employers today is what challenges are you facing in finding and keeping employees for your business?
I think one of the things is that they're finding that the people that they're hiring really can't do what the job description actually states.
Well, they can't do the job, but the question then is, did you folks write a good detailed job description? I think that's really important, because if your job description is not accurate and detailed enough, then people are just going to, they're going to definitely apply for the job, not really know what the job is. So the other thing too is that employers that we've spoken to, right, Tasha?
Yes.
People are not even showing up on time, or they're not showing up at all.
Yeah, or they call too often.
Absolutely. So they're spending so much time on the phone. Employees are asking to leave early. They're doing so many things even when they get the job. So these are some of the things that we hear. So what we're going to talk about is how can you prevent hiring a bad employee? Tasha, how much would you say it costs when you hire a bad employee? How much does it impact the business?
Well, it impacts the business at least 25%. I don't know.
All right, we're not going to talk. All right, we're not going to talk percentages, but we do know from experience, from what we've heard from our employers, once you onboard somebody, you bring them on, you put them onto your payroll, you put them onto your insurance, and then they don't work out, it costs them a fortune.
Okay, you want just
Yeah,
no number?
Because I know that
It costs more for an employer to hire someone, fire someone, and then re-advertise and rehire. It costs them more than having somebody there for maybe a year.
that works out. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, when I worked for Coca-Cola, which was my career when I was younger, I made 2 really, really bad hires. Really bad hires. One, I was so desperate for somebody to come to work with me, for me, on my team, that this guy that I interviewed, he was like the greatest interview person ever. I mean, he said all the right things, he did all the right things, and I was like, you know what? You're hired. It was one of the worst hires I ever made. This kid just did not work out at all. So after a week, I identified that this was not going to work out for my team, and I remember calling HR and going, you know what? I really made a mistake. This guy is not who I need. I just need to let him go. And the response from them was, make it work.
Yeah.
It cost us too much to onboard him. Make it
Make
work.
it work.
So we know how difficult it is, right, when you hire the wrong person. So
Can you actually hire the right people, you think?
well, I think you can hire the right people if you really are very specific about the type of person that you need with the right skill sets, right?
Yeah, and I think also not being afraid to say no when there's something about that person that is just a little off in that relationship.
Yep.
Not necessarily that the person is really off, but there's something that just doesn't gel with either company policy,
Right, right.
staff that's already there.
Oh my
the
God, that's
goals
so
of the
important.
company.
Yeah, and one of the pennies 2 cents that we talk about is that in the interview process, when you're interviewing, the pennies 2 cents. This is one of my number ones. You should have 2 people in the interview.
Always more than one person.
Right.
Don't be the only person interviewing.
Right, and this is so important. The second person can be an observer. They can take notes. They can sit in the back of the room. They don't have to actively be interviewing.
And they don't have to actively be an employer. I mean, they don't have to be someone that can actually hire. Just someone to
Correct.
give you that feedback.
Right, because you might, the person may walk out of the interview and then you'll be able to say to somebody, what did you think? And you'll be able to bounce that off somebody and they may say, you know what, I didn't like them at all. And you've got a different perspective so you can have conversation to find out why they didn't like them. Or they might say, this person was great. We've got to let, so it really is, that's one of our big ones. 2 people in an interview at all times.
And it doesn't have to be the person you like either.
Oh.
I mean, like in one of my experiences, one of the hardest people in my office to get along with, I asked that person to be in the interview with me. And that was cool because she didn't get along with anybody. So getting her
She didn't get along with you?
No, not even me. After a while, it wasn't even me either. But in the beginning, it was. But just getting that feedback from them, and if you know their personality, know their character, then their feedback is also very, very helpful because it gives you a more rounded picture of what actually happened during that interview.
And there's another thing, they call it the halo effect. And the halo effect is when you start to talk to somebody you're interviewing and you say to them, for example, so, where did you grow up? And they say, I grew up in Pittsburgh. And you're like, oh my God, me too. And then you go, really? Where did you live in Pittsburgh? And you start to mention, they go, I know where that is. Where'd you go to high school? And you have this whole conversation, and then it's like, do you know where this restaurant is, or do you know this person? And all of a sudden, you are like, oh my God, this is the best person ever for the job. I'm going to hire this person.
Right.
They have no skills that you need, but you like them. So at least this other person will say to you, time out. This isn't a person that's going to work for us, right?
Yes. And remember that during an interview, the employer, as a good employer, as a good hiree, that you're going to hire someone, you're going to want to hire someone based on across the board skills. I mean, it's like, and everybody's going to get the same question and the same time frame. Like you have a 2-hour interview with someone, and that happened because you talked too much or something, maybe. But you had a 2-hour interview. From that point on, that sets a precedent. You've got to have a 2-hour interview with everybody else. You can't just have a 5-minute interview with somebody and say, we're done, because I already know who I'm going to hire. You've got to have a 2-hour interview with everybody.
Yeah.
So thinking that far ahead, keep it, if you don't want it to go 2 hours, then make sure you don't go over 2 hours.
Yeah, and I think that some employers, again, through our experience, they just don't prepare enough for the interview. So the next time we talk, we're going to talk specifically about how to prepare, just like we did for the employee. We're going to talk about the employer. So we were going to see you again, and Tasha. See you later. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.